fantasy and some flights, exploring the realms of beer, board games, books, and bourbon.
Welcome to another Fireside episode with Fantasy and Some Flights. I'm Nelson.
I'm Dalton.
And tonight we're just chilling. We're just chatting. We're fireside chatting.
Fireside chatting.
Anyways, fireside chatting. Yeah. Fireside. It sounds like a new song. It's the new hit. Fireside chat. Fireside chatting. Anyways.
I can't wait. It's gonna top the billboards.
So already we're just gonna divert because that's what these episodes are all about, and we've been talking for an hour and I'm about a drink and a half in already, so here we go. Anyways, so on this Discord that we're on with Living Card Games, we're running monthly challenges, and I've started writing riddles / poems for the upcoming monthly challenge, and I've been having so much fun with them. I don't know, I've just never written poetry, or I don't even know if what I do is called poetry, but I've never done that before.
Okay.
And I'm having a blast with it. I'm okay, I need to get the syllables the same in each line and have it rhyme, and just okay, how can I cleverly put this so that the flow is right?
Yeah.
Because it's just been hilarious, and I was inspired because on my Arkham plays for the Living Card Gamer, someone on the Discord writes a poem summary of each session. And so
very cool.
I don't know. Okay, we've diverted enough, but just talking about the rhymes all of a sudden reminded me of that. I was that was fun. That's fun.
That's a neat.
It reminds me of a different part of my brain.
It makes me think of the episode of Avatar, The Last Airbender, where Sokka falls into a poetry house or whatever. It has to speak in haikus, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's so clever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, yeah. So we're talking about random stuff tonight, I guess. Basically kind of what we've been reading, what we've been playing, what we're drinking. So let's start out with what we're drinking. Dalton, what's on your flight tonight?
So tonight I have a cider. We haven't had very many ciders.
Interesting. Okay.
On the podcast.
Beer, board games, books, and cider.
Right. It starts with a C instead of a B, so we've elevated one letter.
But it's got a backwards B in the middle of it, so
that's true. That's true. That's how I learned. Did you learn the bed thing when you were a kid?
No.
So if you make thumbs up with both hands and smash your knuckles together, it looks like a bed, kind of when you're 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it spells the word bed, and your left hand is making a B and your right hand is making a D. And that's how I was taught to remember which shape was B and which shape was D.
Well, there you go. Okay. You learned it here first. Well, or second if you were from Nashville.
Right. 2 decades ago you learned it here
Two
first.
Decades.
Anyway, we're going to skip past that. So this is
Don't like that.
Don't like that. This is Wild Cider, Rocky Mountain Cider Company. This is their semi-sweet Agave Peach.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. So it's very, I don't know what agave tastes like, to be honest. I know that it's used in making tequila and hand lotion.
Wait, no, that's a different plant. Yeah.
What's that?
I said aloe vera. Wait, no, that's a different plant.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying, though. But you're totally right. But I don't know. It tastes like cactus. I don't know if agave is a cactus.
Good. I don't know. Is that good?
The peach is good.
Okay, yeah.
The peach part.
And you say semi-sweet, so is it is it a little bitter?
I think in a cider it would be versus sour.
Okay.
It could be
got
bitter.
It, got it.
Slightly, but in a cider it's always going to have that sour tangy of apple juice, right? So that's still dominant, but I think it says that just to let you know that it's not peach juice. If you imagine drinking a peach juice
Simply
cocktail,
peach.
right? Then it would be sickly, and it's not sickly. I think it's actually a very nice balance because I don't like straight apple ciders.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't not like them, I guess, but they're fine. They're just I'm just this is not my favorite. I would list it below wine. I would list it below beer, whiskey. It's just kind of way down there. It's above champagne.
The hangovers are crazy.
Yeah. All the sugar. Oh
yeah.
Yeah. Back when we were young and very intelligent, we drank a lot of Angry Orchard with Fireball.
The craft.
Right, the craft. Yeah, it was all about.
Oh yeah, we mixed them.
We mixed them.
We were not smart people.
Both of those things individually will give you some of the worst hangovers.
Yeah, and I think if I mixed that and drank that today, I would not wake up.
No,
I think
it
I
would
would
be
actually
awful.
just die.
I would just I would sleep through the next day. It would be terrible. We just did it all the time.
I would lose my job because I wouldn't wake up until Wednesday.
Yeah. I will admit that like a single taste of it was tasty because like the cinnamon spice and the apple. Like, the taste of it was nice, but just like you did not play that game to last. That was a losing strategy from the start.
Oh my goodness.
But this is a lot better than that. It's 5.7%. Like I said, it has that semi-sweet. So I think it's a really nice balance. I was saying I don't like apple ciders for that really sour taste. And just like a strong apple, I don't like apple juice, so just that strong apple taste can be a little offsetting. I actually got this out of a mix pack. I picked this one as my favorite of the three. The other ones were like a drier one, and then one that was basically just like a straight apple cider.
Okay.
Which is probably like my least favorite of the bunch. But this has been a good project beer. I was telling Nelson I've been working on redoing a bathroom, and so I said project beer, obviously it's a cider, but a project drink. Something that's just like light and approachable and tastes good and doesn't like drain my mouth of all moisture.
Yep.
Just gives a little bit of calories and all that. So, but nice. I'm enjoying it. Wild cider, agave peach.
2 cheers? 3 cheers? 3 cheers. 3 cheers?
Ooh, actually, because it was a fireside, I didn't even think about the cheers, to be honest. I think probably 2, and that's mostly
2.
Just because it's the cider, and ciders aren't my thing, typically. I had a friend coming over who really liked cider and who can't drink beer for dietary reasons, and so I had picked up, but he can drink cider, and so I had picked up a batch of ciders, and now I'm trying to get rid of them. So that was the other reason I have this.
So fireside is a good excuse for that. So I like it.
Nice. Exactly. What about you? What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a straight rye whiskey. Imagine that. I need to. Okay, so backing up a little bit, like I would try and vary. I don't think I did a good job in varying my beer tastings when I was doing carbs and everything. Yep. I'm on and off of here there, but I do less variety with whiskeys. I'm typically leaning towards that rye side, and that's just because it's a lot harder to buy multiple whiskeys. And but I need to branch out a little bit. But anyways, this is Rossville Union. Have you had this?
No, I think this is a new one.
This is one that was right there in that like $30 to $40 price range, and so it was straight rye whiskey that I hadn't had, that I saw it at the store, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'll try this. And it's bottled in bond, and if maybe our listeners don't quite remember what that was, do you want to explain that to them? Like,
sure.
Maybe the listeners don't remember.
If the listeners don't,
If the listeners don't, yeah.
Not the very official podcaster. He obviously knows what it means.
Oh, yeah. No, I do. I just, I've been talking for a while.
Yeah. You want to give me a turn? I appreciate that, buddy. You're a very considerate co-host. So bottled in bond is it's a term that was put out by like the FDA to regulate, just to give like a term, another like kind of marketing term to whiskeys. So it has some special requirements on it. When it came out, it was supposed to be like straight, like what has kind of become straight. We associate the word straight with like a nice whiskey, and bottled in bond was kind of supposed to be that originally.
Gotcha.
The requirements that they put on it didn't actually end up really being all that, but it has like some requirements in it. It has to, the main one that most people know is it has to be bottled at 100 proof. So if you ever see bottled in bond, it is 100 proof. That's like a requirement to put it on the bottle.
Yeah. So. Speaking of, this is a 100 proof whiskey.
Hey, look, there we go.
He called that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's okay. I mean, like it doesn't stand out to me as a rye whiskey. It's I took a sip of it right before we started chatting, an hour and a half ago, and I was like, that's worse than I remember. And then I realized that I put a splash of water in it. And so once you water it back, I mean, it's okay, but it's not something that I'm going to pick up again. It's a 2 cheers for me. It's
okay.
I'm glad I tried it, but there's a lot of varieties out there, and this is not one that stands apart from the crowd for me. So
yeah,
just kind of, it is what it is. Once it's empty, it's going to go in the recycling and probably never see the cabinet again. So
yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I wish that bottled in bond was more successful. Like there are whiskeys that are bottled in bond that are good, but like saying that one is bottled in bond does not make it good.
Square rectangle.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, that like 100 proof for me, that 100 proof is like a weird, I don't know why, it's just like a weird number. Like I think I like ones that are less than ones that are more. But like,
really? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I like the ones that are like barrel proof, that are strong. Like this is what it's going to be. It's going to be barrel proof. It's going to be powerful and charismatic, and like you come to it knowing what you're going to get.
Right.
and you're like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, for me, it feels like when people like make a bottled in bond that it feels either like a watered down barrel proof, or it feels like a like regular, 40 to 45% or 80 to 90 proof that has an alcohol burn, or something like that. Like it just falls. It's like, I'm with you. I will typically water back a bottled in bond and try and bring it down to just to get the burn to go away a little bit, because it can be a little aggressive.
Yep. But, and that's exactly what this was. This was they added the burn to get it up to 100. Mm-hmm. So I fixed it.
Well, hey, maybe you could add it to some Angry Orchard.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Add it to some apple cider.
I have bought that in the last 10 years.
It did drop off in like my drinking experience, like out of college. It's like I just never bought Angry Orchard again. I used to buy it like all the time in college, and maybe that's why I don't like ciders. Like not to the point where like it's you and tequila, where it's like I cannot drink this. Like it's not at that point, but I think it's just like at a point where it's like I just don't enjoy this anymore. It's a bad memories.
It's like Subway.
Yeah, exactly.
The only restaurant on our college campus outside of like the cafeteria was a Subway.
Yeah.
So we had more Subway in 4 years than I think any human should reasonably, responsibly consume in a lifetime. So
yeah. Have you seen that like their bread in some countries qualifies as cake? Like it's not bread.
Well, that makes me happy. That's why it tasted so good.
I know. When the dude knows your order at Subway, like you fucked up.
Yeah.
Like somewhere along the line, something went very wrong.
Or you could go there and buy like the bag of frozen cookies.
Oh yeah, you could do that. Or they would just sell us cookie dough. That was crazy.
Man, if someone listens to this podcast, someone high up, I'm sure someone's going to get in trouble because I don't think they're supposed to do that. But
that's fine.
Whatever.
They don't know where we went to school.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways.
And we also had a Noble Romans, which is like gas station pizza.
Oh, you know what? That's fair. Yep, you're right.
That existed.
It's attached to the Chevy station as well as our student union.
That's right.
So take that.
Take that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so because this is not a fast food restaurant podcast, let's talk about board games and books. Where are we starting tonight? I'll let you choose.
Let's start board games tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit more about Through the Ages.
Okay. Yeah.
And I wanted to bring it up because I realized. So first of all, we've been playing a lot of Through the Ages, organizing. We have a kind of a group organized through the Discord that just has basically just has a constant game going. I think we're on like our 4th or 5th game now.
Nice.
And we've been having as a group a lot of fun and a lot of open conversation about like the game and strategy and stuff. And so that's been really great. And I realized like we redid our like top 5 board games, and I think I really should have included Through the Ages. Like,
oh, no kidding. Okay.
I don't know, like I haven't like put enough thought into it to be like what should have been bumped out and what what should have been included or whatever. Like I didn't quite get that far in thinking about it, but I was like, I play a lot of this game, like, and again only on the app. Like Nelson and I, like we only ever play on I still own the game, unlike you, but
I have the game.
Oh, do you? I assumed you had gotten rid of it at some point.
No,
Like, traded
I probably
it away.
should. It should go on the trade list. It's never going to go onto the table. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like my wife and I, when we play Through the Ages, we sit at the table with our iPads.
Right.
Like we're not going to pull that out. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's too much counting.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a great game, and I've played a lot of the challenge. I recently beat the challenge in our Through the Ages game. I talked about the challenge where it's like 3 hard AI. First of all, the AI in this app are really, really good. Really well designed, and so they're actually very difficult. It's 3, and they start them at like 180 culture. Which if you hit like
that's how much I score.
I know, right? If you hit like 300, you did like really well. I think in most games. So it starts at 180, and then it makes the game longer. So it like adds like every yellow card, which is like an action card of the game. It adds like 4 copies of every one, just to make the game longer for you. Because the game length is based on like kind of a deck of cards and how quickly you can get through them.
Cool.
So I recently beat that challenge, which was a really big accomplishment.
Nice.
Because it's really hard. And a lot of it's luck. Like you do it so many times, eventually you're going to beat it. But we had like a discussion in the group of like, hey, like how do you beat this? Like what's the strategy here? And someone suggested just like John, who we've talked a little bit about before, like suggested like just an obnoxious amount of like science, just like an absurd abundance of science, And it's like, yep, that worked. I think I had like 24 a turn or something coming in.
Oh, jeez.
Just an absurd amount of science.
And then, like, so you're far more advanced in the game than I am, but how would you convert science into winning that game? Like, talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah. So the main thing, when you think about the game getting longer, it's like, well, what actually limits you? And the main thing that we were finding was limiting is actually like, well, first of all, just actions. Like in the game, you have to basically invest science into your actions by like investing in governments and stuff that gives you more actions. And if you have more turns, and that has a higher return over the course of the game, right?
Okay.
And so like that was really helpful. Also, in the game, you have like little workers, and that's a limited pool. Like your little yellow tokens is like a limited pool, and there's very few ways to get more of them. And so each worker can be designated to a job, like it can make resources, or it can make food, or it can make culture, or it can be a soldier or whatever. But in order for them to be better at their job, you have to advance in technology. You have to buy technology with science so that your like spearman becomes like a modern infantry guy.
Okay.
Right? And so then like that guy is more powerful. And at the end of the game, because the game is so long, like you were running out of that bank of workers. So you had everybody assigned and you had money and everything, but there was like no way to make them better unless you had just like a ton of science.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the last thing, and this is again something that John had kind of pointed out, is he was like, typically science is like a long-term strategy. Like it needs time to pay off, because you're kind of like investing in science, and then you invest science in something else, and then you have to invest in that thing that you invested in, and then that gives you points. So it just kind of has this like lengthy return on investment. But because the game's longer, like it returns more, and so that equation starts to make a lot of sense.
Okay, so what is different about this challenge, or is there something different about this challenge that makes it so that the science is not a just really strong strategy in normal play?
Science is a strong strategy in normal play. I think it is difficult to win the game if you have just ignored it, right? If you like are in the end game and you only have like an income of like 2 science, that's a very difficult position to win from.
Okay.
But there's also kind of a curve where you get diminishing returns. And so like if you get past, I don't know, it's something like 8, 10, or 12 income per turn, it's hard at the end of the game, because you only have like 3 or 4 turns left. It's like, can I really invest in this, like pay for this technology and then pay to upgrade it, like my units into that technology? Like, is that actually going to get me victory points now? I'm just trying to convert everything into victory points. And so and when you get into that like 20 or 25 income range, you can start to get some diminishing returns, and it's really hard to convert that directly into victory points. And so again, because the game is longer, it sort of just pushes out that threshold of like where that curve is and where it starts to drop off. So, but it was just like figuring that out, that like that was and this is what's fun about the challenges in like the app, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what about this change impacts how I'm actually going to play?
Okay. And I think I missed the change. So you said it's longer.
The game is longer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they did that by
adding more cards, or
by adding more cards. Exactly.
Okay. I just missed that part. Okay. Yeah. I'm on the same page as you now.
And it's substantial, because I think, I don't know, I didn't actually count turns or something, but I would say it's probably more than 50%. I don't think it's quite double, but I think it's probably in between like 50% longer to like twice as long.
Cool.
Somewhere between those.
Yeah, that's really fun. Yeah. It's kind of, I like those types of mods that make you think about it differently, but also kind of point to how you could be a better player in the normal game.
Yeah.
Right? Like it exploits an aspect of the game that helps you get a better understanding of it. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. So you beat it.
I beat it. I have.
Congratulations.
There's like 5. Thank you. There's like 5 levels of challenge, from like easy to like nightmare or something.
Okay.
And so this was, I think I have 1 more in like the level 4, and then there's like only 2 or maybe 3 level 5s, and I haven't tried any of those.
Shoot. Do you know what they are?
Yeah, I can look.
Okay. Yeah. That's insane that there's things harder than that.
Yeah, and they're kind of like themed, right? So like this was like the 4th iteration of like this style of challenge.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like a grid type thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like a grid. Oh wait, I lied. There are 2 more that I have in this tier. And they are both gating like the 2 that are like the level 5 nightmare level of difficulty.
Oh man!
And so I don't know what they do yet, because they're like locked. I can't see them, but I can see what the ones before it does. The first is that basically your opponents, there's like 2 comms. They never take a wonder. And a wonder in the game is just like a type of thing that you can build. And so it's like the Colossus, or like just think like 7 wonders, although they aren't like the 7 great wonders of the world, but they're like that, right? It's like the Great Wall of China and stuff like that. And you like invest actions and resources into building them, and then they give you like some benefit over the course of the game. But there's like a bunch of them. There's like, I don't know, 4 to 6 per age or something like that. And so it's like your opponents never take them. Whenever one of them is like discarded from the card row. So in this game, there's like a river of cards. And as they've been in there longer, they are cheaper in actions to take from the river. And once they get to the end, they just kind of get discarded and more get backfilled into the back. And so it's saying the computers will never take it. Whenever like a wonder is discarded, then the computer gets a bonus. So one of the computers gets +2 strength permanently, and one of them gets 2 science. And actually steals 2 science and 3 culture from you.
Oh, dang. Okay.
And I think like the most wonders I've ever built in a game is like 6 or something like that. You know, like it is.
And you can only take 1 at a time. You have to complete a wonder before you take a second. Oh, geez.
Yeah, you have to. That's a good point. You have to complete a wonder before you take a second one. And then as you take a wonder, they get more expensive to take the next one. So there's like accumulation.
Yeah. It's an action tax.
Yeah, it's an action tax.
Oh, good gosh.
To take more of them.
That hurts my brain thinking about it.
I know. So you got to think something like, I don't know, 5 or 8 at best will go through anyway, you know, and your whole engine is going to be built around like, and then you have to also, by the way, win the game. Like you have to, at some point, like you can't just survive it, right? You have to like make culture and, you know, like play the game alongside these huge like action, and wonders give you benefits. It's not like you're doing this and just getting nothing out of it.
Right.
But I really struggle in that challenge. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Because I also don't, in the game, typically, I don't build a lot of wonders. I don't really...
Gotcha.
I don't like the action and resource tax. I like to use them for other things.
Yeah.
Which I probably should. I think it's a strategy failing of mine. I think I need to loosen up on that and like build more wonders. But I don't know, man.
But then you're just neglecting another part of the game.
Exactly.
Right? Through the Ages is a game of scarcity of resources or of actions, right? So if you're building your wonders, you're not doing something else. And so finding that balance is tough. But it's kind of like, and that's what I like, right? They're exploiting the wonders in this challenge. And so once you are able to beat it, then maybe you'll have a greater understanding and a better feel for when to build the wonders and what benefits those can bring.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a huge fan of those challenges.
Yeah, they're really fun.
I've never played them, but
you like the concept of it?
I like the idea of them.
Yeah, I like the idea. Yeah. The other one is there's 2 comms, and one gets +1 strength for each military unit, one gets +1 strength for each urban building. And the urban building one is the one that's specifically hard, because urban buildings are kind of like your engine. And so
they ramp real quick.
They're giving you science, they're giving you culture, they're giving you happy faces, just another mechanic in the game. And so
I'm sure there's a real word for that. We just call them happy faces.
No, in the rule book they are happy faces. Like that's the
hilarious.
Correct term.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Go Vlada. Do it.
Yeah. And do you know what happy faces do? They give you happiness.
Yeah. See, it's a simple game.
It's a simple game, easy peasy. But anyways, and so that one's really tough because the computer kind of gets to just engine build, and along the way, oh by the way, they're like naturally building strength. And that's really annoying because you have to like kind of divert resources from engine building into building military strength, or else your opponents will start playing aggressions on you. They'll declare wars on you. Like bad things will happen. You can try to just ignore military, but it generally doesn't work out if somebody's like building up. And one of the computers at least is building up just by playing the game, right?
And
so that one's like it's tough too. So I don't know what either of the like even more nightmarish difficulty level of these look like, but I think if I can beat those two, I'll probably invest in the expansion. There's like a $5 expansion. Gives more challenges, gives more cards, leaders,
new cards.
Yeah.
Leaders and something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a new expansion. I think it came out in like 2020. It's fairly recent. But I've heard that in competitive play really helps a little bit, because it makes the game a little bit more tactical, because the way that it's played is, and I could be completely wrong on this, but we're not known for our factual basis. But I think it's a random assortment of the cards that get shuffled in from that expansion into the core set, and so you don't necessarily know what cards are in and what cards aren't.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like the level 3 cards that give you a bunch of points, right? Some of them could be ink, some of them could be not, and that just kind of gets amplified across the leaders and everything. So it makes it a more tactical game, and I think it kind of rewards, or it doesn't necessarily reward players who have played it way more as much if you play that variant. And I think that's a variant. Like there's, you can play with the expansion, or you can play with the variant where you shuffle in a random assortment of the cards. So I've heard really good things about the expansion. So
I'm excited to pick it up.
You'll have to report back.
I will. Yeah, I just have to beat these 2 challenges first. That's like my rule to myself. You know, I can let myself spend $5 whole. That's like
$5. You've played the app for 213 hours, but you haven't gotten.
That's a gallon of gas, man, or a box of tacos.
Oh, geez,
or a foot long from Subway 10 years ago.
Is that no longer a thing? That's definitely not a thing. You can't buy a foot long. That's sad.
Right. Anyways, we've gone on and on about through the ages. I wanted to bring it up for one, again, to invite people to join us. If you would like to reach out on Discord, that's where we're kind of organizing and having a lot of fun doing it. And then 2, just to shout it out and say I probably should have included it in my top 5, but because I don't play the physical board game all that much, I think I didn't think of it at the time. But I do love this game. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, awesome, nice.
What about you? What have you been playing?
I'm gonna spin your question. Anyways, so what's on my table? Basically, so I'm flying out to Reno, Nevada here in 3 days. By the time you hear this, I will have been back, and Gamma is awesome. Highly recommend you go. But anyways, so at the time of the recording, I'm flying out to Reno for the Gamma, so it's the Game Manufacturing Association's convention in Reno, Nevada, and I'm really excited for it. So it's a little bit more of a professional type convention. So there are game nights, there are everything, but it's kind of more geared towards the profession rather than a consumer based convention. And like, so it's kind of a new experience for me. It's a little bit different than kind of the PAX Unplugged and the Gen Cons that I've been to before, but it's going to be fun. Like there are a couple of other media people that are going to be there, and so we're going to meet up. But got a couple of interviews and meetings scheduled with different companies. We're going to be talking with Paverson, the people who did Distilled, and so we did a review of Distilled. Oh my god, that was in the pandemic, wasn't it?
Distilled, I think it was like in
the pandemic's over. I mean, like,
but it was in a wave or something. It was in like I feel like August or September of this last year.
Okay, and just so everyone knows, that was sarcasm. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, so we did Distilled. So there are a couple other publishers that we're going to be meeting with. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Also, I've never been to Reno, and I've heard that it's kind of like a smaller Vegas. And
cool.
Like Vegas is Vegas, right? I've seen it. I don't necessarily know if I want to go back. I mean, I have family there now, so maybe I do, but like, I don't know if I would choose to travel to Vegas. It's just not my scene.
Sure.
But I've heard, I feel like Reno's a little bit more of that smaller vibe type thing. And so cool. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There are new games, new people, new connections. And so it's going to be exciting. So I'll report back. We'll see where it goes. But
yeah. I'm excited for you. I mean, this is a step outside of like gaming as a hobby, and more as like gaming as a professional, right? Like, we don't think of ourselves currently as professional podcast. We don't make money doing this. We don't have advertisements,
right?
Except for on April Fools of last year.
I did run the numbers. If we did monetize this podcast, we can make like 12 cents a year.
Oh,
so I'm just saying,
that's not bad.
We'll
remember you.
We'll stay true. We won't let the money affect us.
Yeah. So. We're not going to sell out. We do this for you.
We won't sell out. That's right.
Because you are worth it for that amount of money. A couple years from now, if we're talking 25 cents, we'll have to.
I mean, that's a gumball.
That's a gumball.
I'm just saying.
You're right. That's a gumball.
Okay.
Oh, man. Or like those little balls that have like a promo in them, right? We love promos.
Oh my gosh, I love promos so much.
And stuff.
Dude,
holy cow!
Yeah, That'd be great. But yeah, so Gamma's coming up. I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to continue to grow the connections in the industry, and then
definitely
see the new stuff that's coming out. Right. So we've set up a couple of meetings with some publishers for some new games. So check back in for the next episode because we'll be talking about some of those.
Exciting.
Yeah. Okay. But other than that, the one other thing that I wanted to talk about on my table was just like I've just finished the my playthrough of the Dunwich Legacy for Arkham Horror, the card game, and like the first, like the initial campaign, which is the one that you and I played through, which is called Night of the Zealot. Is a fantastic introductory to the game, and then Dunwich took it to levels I just never expected. Yeah. And I enjoyed Night of the Zealot. I thought it was a good game, and then Dunwich was just like, oh my gosh, like there is so much depth here. This is insane, and it's like one of those like. Playing the other LCGs, I probably could have assumed that it was going to be like that.
Yeah.
But Dunwich just kind of blew me away. Like Arkham is such a story-based game, and they just told a phenomenal story throughout the entire time. Like they wove in decisions that you made like 6 scenarios ago into what was happening then. And it was just like it was so well done, and I just hear that it keeps getting better, and so I'm just really excited. I talk about a lot of the LCGs. I think I talk about like Marvel and like Lord of the Rings a little bit more so than Arkham. So I just wanted to kind of talk through that. Like I just finished my first like full cycle of Arkham. And it was incredible. So if you've ever doubted the plunge into it, I highly recommend doing that. So it's also like one that like we're playing through a Marvel Champions campaign right now. I think that it would be fun at some point to divert into a Arkham campaign.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I've really missed, we were talking about like in the top 5 board games about Gloomhaven. I just really have missed the legacy style of gaming, right? Or it doesn't even have to be legacy style, but campaigns,
the campaign. Yeah.
Campaign style of games. Just because personally it's been a long time. Like what I have gotten in the last couple of years has come almost solely out of like The Crew. Like that's been my campaign feel.
Right.
And so, yeah, I would be totally open to it. Arkham is a game that I have played. I think I've played through the Night of the Zealot twice, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I've enjoyed it both times. I enjoy the deck building aspect. I enjoy the mechanics in the game. I enjoy the like feeling of exploring and figuring things out and the problem solving more. So it's not just like, hey, beat up the bad guy or whatever. Like it's kind of that extra layer to it. Like I love all those things about it. But I've only tried Night of the Zealot, so I think I like the game, but I don't love it. Maybe for that reason. So yeah, I'm in that boat too, where I'm totally willing to try more of it, but life is busy and campaigns are hard, right?
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Yeah.
And it is one of those that I was in the same boat, right? I liked it, I didn't love it. After Dunwich, I love it. It's incredible. So, yeah, maybe we look to divert because the Marvel Champions, we're playing through Rise of Red Skull right now, and it is technically a campaign. I think that is lacking a lot of the campaign elements that I would like to see and that show up later in like Galaxies and Mad Titan Shadow.
Yeah.
And the new campaign, which is Sinister Motives, which is the Spider-Man campaign, I'm straight taking a day off work whenever that comes out. Like it looks so good. Spider-Man's my favorite hero, so I'm just looking forward to it. But yeah, I think like it'd be fun. I know the other player Amram, who I think he's started or maybe starting an Arkham campaign, so he has a little bit of experience with that as well. And so I'd be really interested in diverting to that after this Red Skull campaign finishes up.
Did you finish? I know you were reading a book. That was like
no, I stopped. I couldn't do it.
I don't remember the name of the book now, but
Dunwich Horror.
That's right.
Yeah. So Dunwich Legacy is actually a sequel to the Dunwich Horror book written by H.P. Lovecraft 900 years ago. It is like I say that as a joke, but it is at least 70 years after the author's death because Dunwich Horror is in the public domain.
Right.
And so he's old. It's very old writing. I just didn't have the time. I think like whenever if I had more time, I would definitely read through it. But I just like, this is a good transition, I guess. Like, I just haven't had time to physically read a book. However, I have gotten back into audiobooks. So like I had a little like break. I had a little break. I was listening to a lot of podcasts because they were easy consumable, and like there's just something about it. It was like I finished it, right? Like I completed it, and I think that brought me satisfaction. And then I diverted into, you know, King Killer and all of that, the things that I had read before. But now I'm back in the swing of things. I guess it's, you know, it's warming up outside. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? The correlation.
Spring is the time of change.
Exactly, but. Yeah, we'll just divert hard here. So I actually don't even know the second book's name. Like, I just straight bought it. I like could not tell you of of Wheel of Time.
Oh yeah, is it Dragon Reborn? That might be.
No, it's not.
The Great Hunt.
The Great Hunt. Yep. So I finished the Eye of the World, and then I'm I don't know, probably a little bit over a third of the way through The Great Hunt. Okay. And so I'm enjoying them. Like we were talking about on our last episode that I didn't like the narrator. Yeah. And what I realized is that all the old books that I listened to before, I was listening to on like 1.4 to 1.6 speed based on the narrator, and I just never changed that. I was like, this is just really hard to keep up with. And turns out
he talks so fast.
Yeah. And like it's what's his name? Michael Kramer? Yeah, Michael Kramer he has a really soothing voice, but I think that soothingness, cool, I made up a word, kind of goes away when you speed it up. Like, it gets more like high pitched and jittery, right? Yeah. And I think that the magic of his voice kind of goes away at those like 1.4x speeds. So I dropped it down, and it's significantly better. It's a lot easier to follow. It's a lot more like, it's a lot easier to listen to, and so.
Do you recognize him now as like the Mistborn narrator?
Yeah. It's great. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I finished Eye of the World. I thought that was phenomenal. I also finished the TV show, which like we have talked at this point. Like, I don't know what we said on the mic and what we said off the mic, but they made some choices. We did talk about this on our last episode. They made some choices with that TV show, and when I said that previously on the episode, I hadn't finished it, and oh my gosh, did they make some choices. Like, I don't know why they changed some of the things that they did. Yeah. Like, maybe it becomes more clear once I'm 12 books in, but like at this point, I'm just like, that didn't seem like a necessary change, and it feels like it detracted from the story rather than added to it. And so there are a couple of things. So it's kind of interesting, right? I liked the TV show a lot more before I finished the book.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right? And I think that's, like, I've heard things from people that say they really like the show, and then the hardcore fans that have read the book say that they typically don't like the show. I don't know. I'm kind of a book purist, right? If a story is being told to me, I'm going to probably divert to the book to take that as the truth and like say, hey, this is the real story. Right. But like, I thought the show was like, I mean, like, the CGI and everything was whatever, but like, I thought the story was interesting. It was cool, but like, the book just seemed like it told it so much better, and it was more interesting and more like kind of deep than the show was. And so, like, looking back at it, it was like, okay, well, that was like, I don't know, like I haven't had that like situation happen to me before where I've kind of like, oh, I like the show, and then I read the book and I was like, maybe I didn't like that show. Yeah. So that was just kind of a different emotion for me. So
yeah. We've also talked about, like, off the mic, I think that the last episode is fairly poor.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was very sad.
Yeah, besides the decisions that they made from a storyline perspective, and just the production quality, the writing of the episode, even the acting, it just didn't really come together. It did not feel like a climax. It didn't feel like, it didn't even get this feeling of like, oh, there's more to come, right? It's the end of the first season of, I don't know, 14. There's 14 books. They're going to do 14 seasons. I don't know. You know, like, but it should be, think of, you know, again, I'm always going to say it, but like, end of season 1 of Game of Thrones, you're like, I need season 2, right? Like, I'm into the story. I know like some direction where it's going to go. I want to like know what happens. And I didn't walk out of Wheel of Time final episode, season 1, feeling that way. And I did just a quick search because I was curious, and most of the episodes are in like the high 7s on IMDb. There's one or two that break 8, and the last one is 6.2. So it seems like generally the community kind of agrees with us that it just felt weak for some reason. And it was just disappointing, right? It's the last episode. You want it to be like super powerful, and it just felt like it didn't quite get there. So I really hope that they change their strategy. They're going to get some feedback now, right? Like by the time they're airing season 1, it's all been filmed. Like it's
right. They can't divert.
They can't divert. They got to just put out what they have. But I know that they are filming, or they were filming recently, season 2, and so
I feel like they didn't cancel it. So
yeah, they did not cancel it. Like this is this is their big thing. Like they're going to keep trying to invest in it, right?
Right.
I hope that they have enough time to take in notes and feedback and incorporate it, because it has such a potential to be great.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
There's a little bit of content to draw from. So
right, yeah. For me, I've just started book 4. But I haven't gotten very far yet. I'm only a chapter or 2 in.
Okay.
So far. So
nice. How did you like book 3? I've heard you were saying book 4 is like one of the better ones, right?
Just from what I've heard, I've also heard that it's good. It hits a lull in the middle, and then it like starts to pick up a little bit, and then he dies, and then Sanderson finishes it out, right? And I've heard mixed reviews of that, mostly adequate kind of reviews.
Yeah,
but again, I haven't read them, so do your own research. But I've heard good things about 3 and 4. I did end up liking 3. There were some frustrations that I had with 3, which would be difficult to talk about without like giving story away.
Yeah.
But one of the big ones is that the storyline felt a little bit copy paste from book 2. Like it felt like some very similar things were happening, and I didn't understand why that was being done. And so I just like struggled with that a little bit, and it was one of the reasons I put off reading book 4. Is because I was like, I don't want to just like book 2 and 3 storyline again.
Yeah.
Off the bat, it feels like it's not going to go that way.
Okay, good.
Just some immediate character, like introductions of characters and perspectives from certain characters. Like, okay, I feel like this is going to be a little bit different. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I do definitely want to continue reading it. I just haven't gotten very far yet.
Yeah.
I am in the final chapter of Royal Assassin, which is book 2 of the Farseer trilogy. There's one that I had talked about where the main character was not named at the beginning of the book, and of the first book, and I was really struggling with getting into it. But really enjoyed it by the end of the first book. I would say I've pretty thoroughly enjoyed the second book. Like I've kind of you were talking about in the last episode about being excited to wake up and read, and I read before bed, and I've been excited to kind of like go to bed and read. Get my half chapter in or whatever. I learned recently this is a bit of an older book than I think I thought it was. It was written in 96.
Oh wow!
So it's not like new fantasy, quote unquote,
right?
But it's still modern. It's not like old. But yeah, I've felt that the second book was really strong, and a lot of trilogies we see a little bit of a dip, right? A little bit of like lull in action before it kind of gets
like
to
the Two Towers. Like God, come on,
right? Oh my gosh, Battle of Helm's Deep, please get me through this.
Jeez,
no, we love book 2. But it's like, it's still, I think it's still very strong, but also maybe the weakest. I don't know.
No.
You don't think so?
Yeah, well, we can have words later.
Okay, all right. All right. To each their own. But book 2, I will say, of Two Towers is the one that's like has the most action in it, because it doesn't have the first half of the Fellowship and it doesn't have the last half of Return of the King.
Yep. Movies, that's a different story. But books.
Yeah. But in the books, the whole story actually takes place between the second half of the first book and the first half of the third book. The movie content.
Yeah, each Lord of the Rings book is broken up into 2 books, and they basically cut out 2 books.
Yeah, which is basically 1 and 6. But anyway, I think what's helping is like, I don't think in this book that there is, I don't think that there are clearly bad people, but you don't clearly know what the climax is going to be. So like compared to Lord of the Rings, like, in book 3, like, there's got to be something's got to happen with Sauron, right? Like you kind of like know that at the start of, like, he's the obvious bad guy. Like the bad guy has to fall at the end of the story, and this one doesn't necessarily feel that way. Like there are bad guys, but it's not clear like what the position that the main character is going to be in at the end of the story. And because of that, I think book 2 is allowed to kind of continue to build and show what the end of the series might look like. And so it's keeping, I think, my interest really thoroughly like through the second book.
Yeah.
So I've just found that interesting. I wanted to share that as like an interesting aspect of this trilogy that I think is a little bit rare in trilogies as a whole.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would say so far I like it better than the first book.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's good. Now that you've connected with the character.
That definitely helps. Yeah.
So you did, or we were mentioning Brandon Sanderson finishing out Wheel of Time. I think we would be remiss in our podcasting duties as book people if we did not talk about at this time of this release, ended Kickstarter campaign that Brandon Sanderson put out. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, dude. Like, I am so pumped. So Sanderson, if you haven't heard, has announced 4 secret novels that he has been working on because dude just doesn't stop, apparently. Yeah. But like, if you haven't seen the Kickstarter video, go watch it because it's hilarious. But he's kind of, he's sitting there, he's talking, he's like, throughout the pandemic, we all had hard times, et cetera, et cetera. And then he's like, but in the time that I spent not traveling, I ended up writing a book, and like pulls out like the manuscript of a book. And then he's like, yep. And then, it was for my wife. And then I decided to write another one and pulls out a second book. And then like it keeps going. And he wrote 4 new books that he is publishing. And so this is currently / was on Kickstarter based on the time that you're listening to this episode. Mm-hmm. But they're 4 new books, and 3 of them are in the Cosmere. And I think actually there's a 5th book that's a graphic novel, but it's not necessarily part of the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's insane. Like, he broke the Frosthaven funding level in, I think, under 24 hours.
Yeah. It was crazy. Like, I mean, you could pull it up, and it was just skyrocketing,
Yeah, so Frosthaven, I think, was around 17 million. I'm looking at the page right now with 20 days to go. It's at 27 million.
Yeah.
Right? And what I'm really excited about, right, is that when authors kind of become famous, they need to fulfill their contract for publishers. And this is not necessarily that, right? These are, quote, self-published. I don't know if that's the correct term here, right? They're Kickstarted. Right. But he wrote them without a contractual obligation to write them. Mm-hmm. And I think, he kind of talked about it in the video, right? He's like, I wanted to write these. Like, these seemed fun. They're different, right? And so I am super excited. Brandon Sanderson, if it's not super obvious, is my favorite author. And so we're getting 4 new books in 2023. They're releasing them 1 a quarter. And so I signed up. My wife is also a huge Brandon Sanderson fan. So we're signing up. We're getting the hardcovers as well as the audiobooks. And so that's awesome. I'm super excited for them. There's like these gift boxes that they send out monthly if you want to pledge higher. And I'm like toying with the idea of, jumping to that and like getting the monthly gift boxes because, there's a Hoyd gift box. There's a Stormlight gift box. And I'm just like, I want those. Like, I want those so badly. Yeah. But I just like, I'm super impressed. Good for Sanderson. I mean, it's an incredible achievement. He has over 100,000 backers. Yeah, he's making a lot of money from it. Like, which is awesome, right? Like, I love to see authors succeed, and get more of the Cosmere that we like, and then one that's not of the Cosmere. And I'm almost more interested in that one. Like, what did he want to write that wasn't a part of the Cosmere?
Right. I mean, he has other series that we've read, right? Typically YA, Steelheart, it seems like. Yeah. Steelheart, the one about the girl and the fighter jets.
The stars.
Yeah. Both of which are good. I like the Steelheart better, but
yes, me too.
Both of which are good. He also did mention that one of the 3 Cosmere books will be about a character that we know but has not gotten their own story yet. And so that has been fun to speculate about, right? The obvious choice, I think, is Hoyd, that. Right?
Yeah.
Hoyd
yeah.
/
I mean, the beggar in the streets in Mistborn. Yeah. That is interesting. I have not been able to be a part of that speculation yet. Mm-hmm. I think because there is a Hoyd box, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
However, I kind of hope it's not Hoyd.
Yeah, I know.
I like Hoyd as a character because he's this like world hopper. He's in all of the stories, and he's fun because he's mysterious.
Yeah. And I wonder if he said it that way because he wants people to think that it will be Hoyd, but it's not.
Good. Yes. Like, good.
Because I think it does I think, like I said, it's the obvious choice. Like, when I think of like, oh, who's a character that I know that doesn't have their own story? It's like he just kind of comes to mind for me.
Right. And also, if it was Hoyd, I feel like he would have written it with the intent of being published. And I didn't get the feeling from at least the videos that these were those. These were kind of a pet project. He said, I wrote these for my wife, basically.
Yeah.
And so, like, if he was going to put the time and effort into writing a story about Hoyd, I don't necessarily know if it would have been one of these, like,
True.
pandemic projects.
True.
So,
but I also don't think that they are not like novella length, right? Like they are full-length novels.
They're full-length novels, yeah.
You know? So it's not like this is just some little side story of a side character. Like, and I do wonder how he incorporated that. Like, will it be sort of Ender's Shadow, like, where it isn't covering new events, but it's covering events that you know from another character's perspective? Maybe he hasn't really done that before. But
give me all of that. Yeah,
I know we would love that, but but I don't think he's really done that before too much. You know, he's kind of stuck to most of the time when a story is being told is progressing the Cosmere overarching storyline. But I think it's interesting too, like how does that happen if it's not part of the master plan? You know, if this is a surprise book, how do those two things meet? So.
I'm really hoping for a Knight's Radiance heyday book. Right? We've talked about how. Yeah, we've talked about how we want like the 200 years before Phantom Menace, like High Republic, like they're 900 Jedi, and we're kind of getting that with the High Republic series. But like, I think that'd be awesome with and not spoiling too much, like with the Knights Radiance and at their peak. Yeah, right? Like what kind of book would that look like? Like I would be all into that. Yeah, I'd be super excited about that.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like they could definitely be things that. Because the way he phrased that makes me think that there are two books that are not a named character currently, right?
Right, yeah.
Although I think he said at least one, so he left some room there. So it could be more than one that are named characters already, but definitely possible that these are stories from the planets at a different time or something like that, or a different part of the planet, you know?
Yeah.
Because that could happen too, right? Like we hear very specific portions of... Oh shoot! What's the name of the Mistborn planet? Do you remember? You'd be like top tier Cosmere nerd if you can just like name it off the top of your head. But when I say it, I think you're gonna know it. Oh, let's see, because I'm gonna look it up.
Kelsier.
Kelsier is a character from the book. Scadrial.
No.
Didn't know it. That's fine. That's fine. They mention it sometimes, and you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, Scadrial the story Mistborn takes place on a fairly local portion of that planet. Like of that continent. And there's nothing to say that there aren't other peoples living in other parts of the planet or something like that, right? Like that could be interesting too. Like how does the Mistborn, as an example, magic system work on another part of the planet? Just like how did that evolve into a different culture, for instance?
Yeah. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, that could be fun.
If I had to guess, of the 4, one of them's not in the Cosmere. I would guess 2 of the 3 would probably be Stormlight adjacent and Mistborn adjacent.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think so, only because the other 2 series aren't as successful. And they're fun, Warbreaker and Elantris, but they're early and they're fine. And anything that's on another planet in the Cosmere that hasn't been explored yet was already part of the plan, right? So that feels like it's out. Like he wouldn't introduce a new magic system or planet or whatever in this way, it seems like.
It's Sanderson. He might do it. I don't know.
He might.
Yeah.
But I feel like
we're supposed to get Warbreaker 2 here at some point, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, it's good for him, right? Like, you know, just sitting here at the computer as we're talking, like it's already gone up like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. Just in the pledge, just like it doesn't stop ticking.
Right.
So it's really exciting to see how many people are, you know, involved in this awesome world.
Definitely.
Story.
And I'm excited for it as a model, right? Like he's proven that this can be successful for other authors. And so it's not going to be successful for everybody, right? Because producing a book is a lot of money and it's a lot of like know-how. That's the other thing about Sanderson. Like he's kind of built a company around his work, and so he's kind of able to do that. Like the reason people go to like producers though, and so that somebody prints their book for them, right? Like you know, they don't. Not everybody wants to go through that process by themselves. But he's proven with crowdsourcing, and this is, I think he said, his second campaign. He did another campaign like 2 years ago or something. So it's already been kind of proven, but this one is like so hyper successful that I hope it kind of becomes a model, and just kind of opens that door for authors to, first of all, just collect more of their own money. Capitalism, always want to see that happen.
Good team.
but also just to equip people to, I think there are a lot of authors who financially aren't successful, right? They almost do it as a hobby, and they produce a book and it does okay, but it doesn't necessarily become their career, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully this equips more people to do that.
That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be great. I'm so pumped. I'm so ready for Q1 of 23.
Yeah. That is true. If you want to back it, that's a good thing to note, is that they release in 23.
Yes. Yes.
So they release, and it's one book per quarter if you're backing the program. So,
or if you do the subscription box, it's once a month.
Yeah.
So you get satisfied more often.
That's right. If that is of interest.
Yeah. It's like I just bought the audiobooks at first, and then I upped to the hardcover. And so maybe I'll up to the subscription boxes because it's just a small increment.
That's right. Yeah.
Every time. Instead of going all in, then it's just, I'm just increasing it by $200.
Right. You're investing, right?
I'm investing. Yes. Stocks. Stocks.
Oh, man. You're going to bring me back to board games, and we're going to start talking about stock games. If we're not careful.
Oh no. Well,
all right. Let's wrap it up before we do that.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I love these fireside episodes. It was great talking with you.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to play some games and read some books. So I'm looking forward to the future of what we get to talk about on these. But
definitely. Yeah. Looking forward to what the year holds.
Yeah. So if you haven't followed us yet, go ahead and follow us on Instagram or go and join our Discord. So if you want to play Through the Ages with Dalton, and he thinks that he can't be beat. So if you think that you can, go ahead and join the game, because
please don't
prove him wrong. Like I love to see him proven wrong, because honestly he's getting a little arrogant. So
oh my gosh. Take me down a peg.
Everyone needs it.
If I need to be taken down a peg, I'll just go play the easy AI and let it beat me.
That one hit a little bit close to me. I still need to learn the rules every time I log on, but so
there's a lot of them.
Yeah, but we'll go ahead and wrap this up so that I can take my next turn in Gaia project before Dalton completely destroys me or destroys my iPad, because I never take a turn within the allotted time. So so I apologize.
I want you to take a turn so we can start another game, so you can actually choose your faction instead of just being assigned one for running out of time.
I timed out on the faction pick, and then
and it chose
picked
the worst
for me, and I'm like, I don't want to play this, and two, the planets that I can terraform are at the edges of the universe. Like, there is nothing I can do here. It's
I have it chose
6
bad for you
points
intentionally. It wanted to punish you.
Yeah, I have 6 victory points and you start with 10, right? So that's where I'm at in the game.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, it was great talking with you. We'll talk with you here soon. And reach out to us. We love talking with you. And we'll talk to you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.